afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Goosetown. Welcome to Lunch with Books. My name is Sean. I'll be your host. Today, this is your program, so I don't have to introduce a guest except for the people of Goosetown. So we'll get to that in a minute. Before we do that, if you're not on our email list, and some people are asking me how you find out about these programs, the best way to do it is get your name in the box over there, and I'll put you on our email list. The July and August actually goes all the way to September now, because July's gone. Brochures are out. I'm putting up new programs now for September. New People's University about climate change, and the Wheeling Reads program, which on September 9th will have a big event here in this room. The author of the book will be here. I have copies of the Spring Upper Ohio Valley Historical Review for $5 if you want one. It's mostly about Warwood, not Goosetown, sorry. Maybe next time. Next week, Roger Hort will be here, along with Kyle. Remember Kyle? He used to work here a while ago. They'll be having a conversation, and Roger will play some music, so his memories of his career. That'll be next week on the 8th. On the 15th, so we have 3 music programs in a row. Fairmay will be here to play Italian music for St. Rocco, and there will be dancers with them. And these dancers are very good at the International Ohio Valley Dance Group. And then after that will be Bob Gaudio and Mike Florio. You guys know Mike Florio? He went to Central. He's on NBC football broadcast. He'll be here. He wrote a novel about the mob in Wheeling. And he's on a special Thursday edition on the 31st. Okay. That's all the promo I have for you. Welcome to Goosetown Memories. We've done this for numerous neighborhoods. And as I can see, now we're going to break the post-COVID record for attendance. Thank you, Goosetown. So before we get to your memories, I'm just going to say a few words about some research that I did because I was wondering about things. For example, we all know the legend of the name, right? And here's a map. By the way, we brought our geese down, in case you didn't notice. I don't know if you can see this map, but at the bottom, is anybody in here claiming this map? I took it off Facebook. Somebody drew it. So I can't vouch for it, but it says way down at the bottom, Old Woman Geese Farm. And that's the legend, right, that the name came from an old lady who had geese, which makes sense. But then I thought, well, let's just look in the newspaper and see what the earliest name, age I could find of the use of Goosetown. And it was here in 1890. Do you know what the context was? You can kind of see it there. Can you read that? Baseball, no, 2 words, baseball notes. So down at the bottom there it says the O's, right here, defeated the Goosetown Blizzards by a score of 10-9. So it was baseball. And they played on Tunnel Green. And then later in June, the O's defeated the Goosetown Blizzards. So I don't know if that's a different team, the same team on Tunnel Green, by the score of 10-9. And it gives you some of the names. By 1900, they were called the Goosetown Sluggers, or at least one of the teams was. And then by 1902, check this one out. The Harry Burleys will play the Goosetown Molly Hawkers. In a game of ball, a good game was expected. This will be the Molly Hawkers. I looked that up in the Google, and the Google had no clue what that was. And so on the gridiron in 1900, we have a football game with Goosetown playing the Chicken Neck Boys. So we have the geese and the chickens playing an all-poultry game at Tunnel Green. It gives you some of the names there. Check out these names. Gompers, Luke, Kossuth, Howie, Kelly, Quinn, Kane. So you may know some of those names. Here's an article from 1965 referring back to football in the old days. So the Yankees Today, high school, college, and professional football holds sway in the Wheeling area, but the time was when the semi-pros on Sunday afternoon, watching their favorites win or lose, there were teams like the Vances, the Yankees, the Blair Temples, the Benwood Bearcats, and Martins Ferry Vigilance, and many others. So the Yankees on this day in 1922, so that's the Goosetown team, particularly from the little town of Goosetown, battled the McNally odds of Pittsburgh at Old Bauer Park. Now, if you're here for our baseball program, you know that Mrs. Bauer had the park in Fulton, so that's what they're talking about. Now called Fulton Park, and beat the Pittsburghers 12-0. So there's Hindleberger was the quarterback, and so there you go, the Yankees. 1892. Yesterday afternoon, a German was moving into Goosetown from Fulton and was leading a cow along the road when a big dog attacked the cow and bit it so badly that it will have to be killed. In attempting to rescue the cow, the old owner ran against the child, knocking it down and cutting its cheek. Thereupon, the irate father of the kid struck the old German, giving him a very black eye. This is Goosetown, 1892. And in 1903, the Goosetown Gladiators. This is a fight between Big Lou Gallivette and John Tolliver. One had an axe and one had a knife. So yeah, sounds like a violent place, guys. I don't know. And then I'm looking in the 50s, and well, actually it started much earlier than this, but all this talk of the dump and the rats and the fires and the smell. It was so bad, it made the front of the paper in the 50s, and there's a little, I don't know if you see the headline, it says, "A tree grows in Goosetown, out of the roof." So. And here, there's a complaint about some hefty teenagers at the Tunnel Green Playground. They claim several evenings ago they invaded the playground and tossed several children into the wading pool. When a man remonstrated with them, they ganged up on him and tossed him in two. It's not over yet. A girl supervisor started to the scene, saw she was going to receive the same treatment, took flight, and was chased all the way home. So these hefty teenagers, some of you may be here today, or bad news in the 50s. And then in 1958, there was a complaint in the paper, well, it's a joke. That still sort of rings true. Soldiers and Sailors Monument has been moved everywhere but Goosetown. As early as 1964, the URA, the Urban Renewal Authority, was talking about displacing 1,000 homes, and Goosetown is mentioned in this article. So, it started that early. Okay, so on to some happier things. Does anybody recognize this young man here playing for the Tunnel Green baseball team? Well, you'll recognize him because he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. His name was John Rieger, a linebacker. There he is. Goosetown boy. There's a picture I stole from Facebook. Has anyone claimed this picture? Well, too bad, I got it. And then I put a picture of what it kind of looks like now. And here's a place, got everyone that remembers. So at this point, why don't we start, we're starting with a bar. Does anyone want to tell us about the Duquesne Club? And we're going to have Julia and Ellery are coming around with the microphones, so please wait until they get to you if you raise your hand, because this is your show now. Anyone at all want to start? This gentleman. Wait till the mic gets there.
My name is Paul Yoakum. I'm a cousin of Tommy Yoakum. He used to live in Goosetown. My father was born and raised in Goosetown. And I remember the Duquesne Club. And that's the only time I ever saw my grandfather laugh, was when he left the Duquesne Club. So I remember that. I remember a lot about Goosetown when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. I'm 98. I'll be 98 years old my next birthday. I used to love to go to Goosetown because I got to see all my cousins. We weren't a close family. We lived in the same house. I lived in the same house with Tommy and Jackie and Evelyn. And around the corner was Patty Yockham, Bernice and Bob Yockham. And then my grandfather's, his family was Peter, Frank, George, Jake, Sophie, Annie, Margaret, Dorothy. They all lived in a house that had two bedrooms. My Uncle Jim used to live up there. They had. So that's why the Goosetown Club led me to this. But,
Yes, sir.
I remember a lot about Goosetown. And a lot of you people might know my Aunt Sophie. She worked in the unemployment office for years. And my Aunt Annie, her husband, managed the Fulton baseball thing when the Pittsburgh Pirates used to play there back in the 20s. So I got a lot on my mind, and I'm getting old and I can't think too straight.
Well, we'll come back to you. We'll come back. Thank you. Right here in the middle. This is an easy job. I have the easy jobs.
Now you just get to point.
I'm Mary Ann Abraham, but I was a West, and I never lived in Goosetown, but a lot of my relatives did. My dad grew up there, and they were members of that Duking Club, and we went there a lot. And as I was a teenager, I worked as a playground supervisor, and there's gentlemen in the Duquesne Club look out for me, believe me. If there was any problem, I knew I could go there and they'd take care of me. So there's my cousin Karen.
Did I see a hand back there?
Stick your hand way up so I can see you.
Yeah, back there. I just want to make these ladies run back and forth. Please say your name before we speak.
Joyce, it was Darnley, but it's choked in now, Joyce. And we lived in Goosetown. My mother's house they didn't take, it's still there on Baltimore Street. And I remember the Duquesne Club, and they used to have a baseball team. And we used to go out to Tunnel Green, and they used to play music, and we had a gay old time, watching the baseball team. And then when it flooded, they had a boathouse, and they used to go around in a boat, in the slide. And we used to always try to ask them to take us for a ride, but they wouldn't. So, and like I said, my mother's house is still there, and I've lived in Goosetown from the time I was 10 years old. And my mother's house is there, and this is my niece. She's living in my mother's house in Goosetown right now. So,
Welcome.
it was a spot, it was a bar.
Yeah, that's next on my list here.
Yeah.
Here, over here. Gentleman in the white shirt.
Hi, everybody. Let's think we're all from Cleveland. Your dad lived here in Goosetown until he was 18, and he moved to Cleveland. Hello?
One second. Everyone be quiet. Don't speak.
So we would visit Goosetown quite often through the 60s, and my great uncle Frank had a store in Goosetown, and he was blind. So everybody trusted him. We went in there and we say it would cost 50 cents. Or, one time I said it cost $300, but he didn't go for it.
Was that the famous Blind Butch?
Yes, it was, yeah. And my grandfather's father was machine gun Brooks Navy, Wheeling Police Force, and my dad recalls Babe Ruth coming to town and meeting him at the Greenfield. That's all we got.
Cool, yeah, we talked about that in the baseball program. So there was Ball Butch too, right? Ball?
Willie.
No? I had that wrong. Okay. How about the spot? Anybody else?
I have a question.
Take Brandon's
I'm
question.
assuming everybody here knows why Goosetown is called Goosetown. But I had heard there was a pond out there in the old days and a bunch of geese. But why is it called Goosetown? Maybe you could set me straight on that.
Well, I thought we kind of went over that. But does anyone have another theory other than the old lady with the geese?
Because of the woman that had her sheep to learn, she had all the geese, so it was named after her. That's what I was today.
Yeah, that's what,
Tons of geese. So therefore, it was called Goosetown.
yeah, only, went back to 1890, so
Yeah.
it probably was the daughter of the lady. In any event, yeah. There's a Goosetown in Ohio too, so if you're looking these things up, it gets confusing. Over by Wolfhurst. Right. Okay, anyone else about the spot? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We'll get back to the spot. This is another picture I took offline of some kids. Anyone playing that picture? Man.
My mother had a bunch of pictures from when we grew up, and I took them home and I put them all on the computer, and I have a ton of pictures from Goosetown. And I have the names of those boys.
You do have the names?
Yeah, I have to try to get it up on Facebook, but one of them turned out to be a football player. I forget what his name was. One of them's, I think, Ike Comer. I think one of them's one of the West boys. I don't know if it was Wesley. I don't know. Maybe Marianne can recognize them because they were older than me. But yeah.
It'd be nice to have the names if you have them.
You know what? I'll see if I can pull it up on my phone.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you. It's a great picture.
Yeah, my mom had tons.
Here's some gentlemen, I'm not sure which establishment they're in. Does anyone recognize it? Or the gentleman? Might not even be Goosetown. Could be some other town. Here's a story from '79 about a fire, which this is not technically Goosetown, I suppose, at the Leap. I remember that's on McColloch Street. And here's yours truly with a famous Goosetown person.
Okay.
Bo King, right? You guys recognize him? Anyone have a story about Bo? He was a funny guy. I remember him very well. This was during the Super Bowl we watched together.
Yeah, I got one.
You got one? Good.
You've heard this before. This also kind of goes with the Johnny Rieger picture. If you know Bo, I mean, he was a sports official. He was a basketball official. He was a football official. His wife's name was Pee Wee. But he could tell more stories than you could keep track of. One of the greatest ones that I heard was they had Johnny Rieger Day at Ford's Field, I guess. That's where they played football, at Ford's Field, and somehow, Mo King got in the press box at the game, and when they introduced Johnny Rieger, he went off on this spiel about this Johnny Rieger Day, and he started doing a broadcast on the radio. And he said the main broadcaster was Lindsey Nelson. And Lindsey Nelson was so impressed by Mo King's description, he wanted to know what TV station he was from. And how Mo got in the press box, I don't know. But the other thing was that when it would rain, down there were puddles around, and Mo would make Pee Wee carry him across the puddles.
I remember that story. Yeah, he would do the Gillette Cavalcade Sports. Yeah, he sounded just like an old-time radio guy. He was a character, and so was Pee Wee. They were fun. Okay, so we sort of already talked about Blind Butch. Does anyone else have any comments about them?
Who was Walter?
I don't know, I got that offline somewhere, so I'm not even sure that's accurate. But yes, ma'am.
Butch Knavy's brother was Willie. He was shorter and he was bald. And
Okay,
they
so,
both kind of ran the store, but really.
so there was a bald Butch.
Yeah, they were brothers.
Okay. Wertzberger's Bacher store? That's all I've got. Now it's up to you, so let me know.
The Bird in the Gilded Cage.
Bird in the Gilded Cage.
Remember that beer joint? It was, the Bird in the Gilded Cage. It was a beer joint off of 124 East 11th Street in Goosetown. I remember my father, I would be with my father. We had a lot of good times there. That's all I have about the Bird in the Gilded Cage.
Okay. Well, I have stuff that my Uncle Jay sent me, so I could go off on that. But I'm going to ask him to say something about what he remembers. He's back there, and I'm volunteering him, so. What's your favorite Goosetown memory, Jay Duffy?
Actually, it was the people. I mean, they were fantastic. I played a lot of sports, so did my brother Tom and my other brothers. But they were always out supporting us. And the squad was a place where we had a lot of sessions for getting rewards and things like that. When we played, I can remember a time when I was down in Florida teaching and coaching, and I came back to Wheeling, and my brother Pat had tickets for the Steelers game, and so he got us all together, my brother Tom, Pat, and me. Mo was with us, and I'll just put it this way. It was one of the funniest days and nights, and I say day and night, that I've ever put in, because he did the broadcast of Ezra Charles in a fight. And then when we got up to, it was Three River Stadium at that time, we consumed quite a bit of beer, all of us. And I can remember carrying Mo with my brothers out of Three River Stadium and down into the car and got him home. It was something I'll always remember.
Because Pee-wee wasn't there.
The Pee-wee wasn't there. I was playing baseball, and it was the East Wheeling Boosters.
Pirates.
Well, the Pirates. It was the Pirates. We had Little League, Senior League, and then we had another one we started. It was called the Boosters. And it was sponsored by the squad and everybody else. But anyways, our coach was okay. And we had a good team. We really had a good team. But I can remember one Saturday, we had practice, and we looked around, there was no Mo. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, Pee-wee comes out, carrying the bag of bats and their balls and gloves. And she throws them down. She said, "We're having practice. Mo can't make it. He has a hangover." That's just the type of people we had down there. I can say this too. Baseball was fantastic to me. I was down there as much as I could, watching Duquesne Club, Cave Club, all of them. And some of the great ball players went through there. I mean, we had tremendous ball players. But I got excited the most when the prisoners came up with plays. And the reason for that is there was one road in and one road out. And here comes the bus with all the waters on the windows with the guards. And the guards come off the bus first, of course, and then you see them. Two of them would go down by the creek. Two of them would go up on a railroad track. And the other one would be down there where the one road came in. But it was always exciting, and I was a bat boy many games down there for the prisoners and Duquesne Club, and anybody got good then I'd take the broken basketball up, and we'd play softball off on McColloch Street. So, but Goosetown, the people, even when we were playing sports, getting on the neighborhood steps and just talking and BSing, and the people, the player. The Fayhays, yeah. We had a lot of football. I also came back and coached Cathedral Grade with my brother Mick, and we had a story about one of Mo's children who played for us at the Cathedral Grade. And it was Halloween time, and everyone was out there in their helmets and all that. And this one player came up, and he had, the charcoal all over his face and everything. He was ready to go play, go out for Halloween. We looked, it was Mo's boy, and he was all dressed up. So he took his helmet off, his pads, he had his costume on, and he took off that. Halloween was a good time down there. Halloween was a great time down in Goosetown. There's a lot more stories, but the people were just unbelievable. They really supported us. I felt like I lived there till I was senior in high school, because we practiced there, we played there in grade school, and the pickup games. Anybody remember Blubber Dilworth?
Yes.
Blubber. He was out there. We played more pickup games with Blubber out on the baseball field. And his idea of playing baseball was he liked the bat. And he always tried to put it in the Duquesne Club over the. If he couldn't, he wouldn't run. That was it. He either put it over there or he didn't run. But we had the Comers, the West, the Yogs, yes. Who? Yeah. What was the owners of the Spot? The Van Horns with PD, and I remember his sister going up to West River, and he was Queen of Queens or something like that. Yeah. So that's mine. I'm out of breath.
Thanks, Uncle Jim.
All right.
Well, we might come back to it. We'll see.
All right.
What's your, what was the best thing? I mean, he mentioned to people, Mr. Fahey. Welcome.
I'm Jack Fahey. I was lucky enough to marry Goosetown girl. We were very proud to work all 7 of our children in Goosetown. They all went to Cathedral Grade School and to Wheeling Central County. But thank goodness I got all those votes from Goosetown around. I never knew. Here's Pat, he took blind push up to the spot. It made it boardroom, and he took a cab.
I saw a hand over here.
In Goosetown, when there was weddings, we kids would serenade, get pots and pans and bang, when they get back to down after the wedding, and they would throw change up to us.
For what? Change?
Change. Money.
Yeah, money.
Yeah, $50, pennies, whatever. But we serenade. I did the pots and pans. I don't know if any other of us did that or not. Yeah.
Up here? What about the wheeling iron? Did they practice at Tunnel Green?
Yes, they did. There was practice down there.
Yeah.
They started up.
That's kind of cool.
The priest that was the official at that baseball games. Do you remember that? Father Farrell.
Yes.
Yes. My grandmother.
Anyone? How about the street fair? Oh, yeah. Any memories of that? What was it like? You, sir?
I was little. I remember them though. I was just a little kid then. Yeah. Every year we had the street fair down.
Where did they have
Right
it?
on What is that, East 11th?
East
East 11th Street, all the way down, clear almost to Duquesne Park. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
This was packed every night, they did it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Music and rides, that sort of thing?
I don't remember many rides.
No.
A lot of things for kids. People had porches and for little kids, they would act like they were fishing. And somebody on the porch would put a prize on a string or something. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of fun down there.
Okay.
Yeah, played a lot of ball down there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sir?
This is kind of, you hear me?
Yeah.
This is kind of negative. I have a lot of friends in Goosetown, Murph Miller, the Roccos, Kate Combacher. In 1945, we moved into Vineyard Hills, and I go outside, and I thought, what the hell's going on? It looked like it was a black snow. And then later, I'm down in Goosetown, that's where they burned all the garbage. Garbage trucks would go in, they had a big fire pit there, dump the garbage.
So
And as kids, 10 years old, we do a lot of work rat hunting down there too.
yeah, the rats.
That's a negative for Goosetown, though, but I enjoyed it.
Jay, Uncle Jay.
I don't have anything to say except Ace Garage. And that was part, a big part. I can remember whenever we had an accident, Ace Garage would go out, pick the car, and then all the guys, we'd run down to see what was happening, look at the car. It was kind of like a museum of crashed cars.
I didn't have that.
Over here.
Speaking a little on the negative side, does anyone know the Custard family?
Oh, yeah.
Danny died in Vietnam, and I saw his memorial in DC. Anybody know him? We call him Danny, but his real name was George.
All the boys together. Yeah, and I remember I was on the college, and they had a fire, and a couple of
How about the Christmas tree burning party? I wasn't there. How did I know that?
I'm talking.
There we go.
Every year, after the holidays, a bunch of us, well, I really didn't live in Goosetown, we actually call it Goosetown Heights, but we would go around collecting all the Christmas. And there was Pete West and John and Paul, Mike and Comer, Phil Comer, a big group. And we would drag them all down to Goosetown, down to Tuck Green, out in the right field, and we would stack them as far as we could get them to stack. And they were probably, with ladders, about 20, 25 feet in the air. And then we would douse them with gasoline and throw a match and let them burn us. They'd burn for days.
Now, was this-
The fire would come out, they'd stretch us.
Was this illegal activity over time? Was this illegal activity?
That wasn't legal, they kind of,
It was a violation of the regulations.
yeah, but we used to do that every year.
Yeah. I heard that. Up here.
Hi, the one thing I remember from Goosetown, everything was our playground. Down on the dump, in the woods, we would go up over, the bridge, and go on in the Wetzel's Cave, and all through that hillside. That was like something we did. Let's go on up, and we just took off and ran and went up there. But the one thing I remember is when they started already tearing Goosetown down, all the teenage boys, they would go get the doors from the torn down houses or whatever, and they made this great big, huge, giant pit. They were catching all the different kind of snakes and throwing them in this pit. And us as kids were just going through all those snakes. And I mean, it was all for time, but they'd go catch them and bring them in, and we had a snake.
You had a snake pit.
We had that whole hillside, that was our playground.
Okay.
can remember on McColloch Street, we had an empty lot across the street. It was right by the old firehouse lot. And we made it into a softball field. Did the old socks, roll them up, put tape around them, and then we'd take those broken bats from those baseball games. And we had a whole league of home runs was up in the alley. Anyways, I can remember sliding into third base when I was up there, and it was a rock like this. And I knocked the rock, pushed it. Underneath it was a whole pile of money. A whole pile of money. And we found out when the police came that it was money from the spot. So they had robbed it the night before. And whoever robbed it put it underneath the big rock over in our field. Unfortunately, one of our co-players from McColloch Street, he had to go visit Goosetown.
Town, I've heard that one before. Anyone else? Over here. We'll start calling on people.
I got a story about my childhood.
Good
We'll come right
afternoon.
after you, after this lady.
My name is Megan Calabrese, and my mother was Dorothy Jean Hankey, if anyone remembers.
Jerry Hankey?
No.
Jerry's sister.
No. She was an only child. She grew up on Oak Street, but she told us a lot about Goosetown because she was a playground instructor for several summers. And so I was just curious about this Goosetown, and I had never been down there, but she must have had a good time because she had really good memories of it. And she enjoyed the people and being the playground instructor, which would have been around 1946, 47, and she was only maybe 14 then. So, but she went to Wheeling High, and I think it must have been Clay School. So I just came to listen to the stories about Goosetown to get a better idea of what it was like there. And as I hear a lot about the sports, that makes me realize, well, they must have had a big playground area and with all the kids, and she was around all of those. So thank you for your memories, so I can keep in mind. Yeah, my mother did participate in Goosetown in the summers, college ball games and all. So, thank you.
All right. This gentleman, you had, go ahead, we'll come here.
I grew up on McColloch Street. The Duffys.
Okay.
Okay, oh yeah.
And it was really nice. I'm gonna tell you what. Today, you can't talk to the kids or anything. Everything's just terrible, you know. But I just want to say, I grew up on McColloch Street, you know. In fact, I can remember when I tried to get out of this town, they would chase us out. They didn't want you down in their town. The kids did. They would chase you out. You know, there were nice crossings. Yeah. They told us to go out there. So we were kind of afraid.
It remind you about those husky teenagers they had. Up here, and then we'll go over here.
Do you remember the songs?
Yes.
Yeah, let's all start in unison. 1, 2, 3.
Goosetown, going to the casino on the
show the boys that we're real sports, in the leaky, hard to do, but we're strong in, and we're strong out. They throw away your ears and they come out your mouth. Your arms strong and your legs stay. You're a hell of a little fellowship, shake your big, do me a favor, drop them. And then I talked to my son yesterday in Atlanta, Georgia, and said, I'm going to this Goosetown, Memories, and he sang that song. And then anybody remember the legend of Jeannie Green Teeth?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because they didn't want us going in the tunnel. And the kids like to fuck, when the parents were ball games. And so they told you that in those little shelters, that's where Jeannie Green Teeth lived. And she never brushed her teeth.
That's it?
Yeah, well, scared to death out of you.
Jeannie Green Tree?
Jeannie Green Teeth.
Teeth. What was the name of the song you just sang? Is there a name?
Go to Bill Shanty down Goosetown. And my uncle, Joby Leffler, he played the guitar, and he had a really pretty song that he sang about Goosetown, but Aaron, I don't remember this. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember this. Come to the song of Goosetown.
Would there be a way to find that song? Anybody? Sorry, you started to say something. Did you have something to say?
Yeah. Talk about my grandmother. When you go to visit her, we had to go by a streetcar. And I remember the steps. And I remember her dog. The dog knew that she came from Wheeling to Goosetown and got off the dog knew that she was going to be what streetcar she was going to be on. And that was fascinating. Along with the number of steps to get into Goosetown from McColloch Street. There must have been a couple hundred steps.
101.
You counted.
We counted.
101.
I had something else, but I forgot. What was it? Oh, the snipes.
Snipe hunting.
My first time I went snipe hunting in Goosetown. Cousin Tommy and whoever was around. And I remember I had to go back to my grandmother's house. They told me to get a bag. And I went back and my Aunt Margaret gave me a bag and she showed me how to tear the bag and we was going to go snipe hunting. So we did. And I was the only one left about 10 o'clock at night in the dark, and I was down on the dump by the creek. And my father always bragged about Goosetown. It was the garden spot of the world. But after we grew up a little bit, my sister Bertha, she always told him that, Dad, you were born on the city dump. In joking fashion. So that's all I can think of right now.
Who doesn't know about snipe hunting? I was taken snipe hunting by a gentleman named Duffy. The point of snipe hunting is there are no snipes. Right? Uncle Jay, Uncle Tom.
I didn't grow up in Goosetown, and I know a lot of families were displaced from Goosetown, but living in Wheeling, I've heard many stories of people like, oh, this is Mrs. Smith and she lived in Goosetown, or do you remember her daughter, or so on and so forth. And you might have only had one road in and one road out, but all roads lead to Goosetown.
Nice. Oh, wait.
I can remember when I was a kid, and we could go from Toma Green through the spot, back up to our house, back down through, all during the day, during the night. I remember in the spot there was a lot of sing-alongs. And you'd go in there and the music would be playing and everybody would be singing along. And it was so much fun that way. And going back to the steps from the lead, my brother and I, Ron, we used to start at the top, and then to make it fast to go down, we'd say like 10, and then we'd count 1, 2, and we were right by the end of, a few times we did it. So we didn't know the total, but we knew each section like 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then but that was a lot of fun. It made it go fast. It seemed like eternity, but then when you got older, you look and you're thinking, there wasn't that many steps. It's like, come on,
It's going to be a Wheeling trivia question now. Uncle Jay, go ahead.
Mr. Young mentioned the garden, but if you would go right underneath the trestle of the ball, take a left, what do you find? The gardens. Yeah, they were fantastic. I mean, my brother, now I didn't do it, but my brother, we used to sleep out at night with a couple other McColloch Street nice kids. And we'd go down to the gardens, take a bag with us, and get the best tomatoes and onions and everything. You can take our salt shaker with us, please. That was great. Right next to the gardens. What was next to the gardens? Stockyard. The stockyard. Oh, best place to find fishing worms. To go fishing right there in the creek. The other thing is, again, not mentioning no names, but I know a couple of brothers and other friends who used to go there and ride the pigs. Mom didn't like that when they came home. So those 2 areas I consider part of Goosetown too. And they really contributed. The railroad used to run right out to the stockyards.
So let me ask you, the tomatoes and the corn, that was just wild. They grew there wild.
Oh yeah, they were wild. Yes, but when they wanted, the people who planted them found out we raided the gardens.
Over here.
Before they started garbage company, they used to take an incinerator.
Yeah.
And that's where all the trucks come, the garbage trucks came, and they dumped all the garbage there, and the incinerator burned. And Jack Betty's lived up there before they even had the Ace Garage. And people used to go flying all the place, and it was really something, that big incinerator.
Yeah, it's on our map here, the garbage incinerator, and then we have the city dump by the creek. And then the Ace Garage.
Yeah, that was a dump, the Ace Garage, cleaned that off to make their Ace Garage there. It's Jack Betty. Yeah, his name is up in too, yeah. That's incinerator, yeah.
No, I think Bruce Roxby made that map because he sent it to me. It made
Okay. We'll give him credit or blame. Bruce Roxby. Is it fairly accurate? It looks fairly accurate.
It looked accurate to me.
It's not a cartographer or anything.
There's a lot of things that are omitted out. There's a lot
Right.
of things that were wrong.
You would have to.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a memory they'd like to share before we wrap it up here?
I didn't live in Goosetown, but my parents took me to the Duquesne Club so many Sundays during the summers. So they could drink beer and I could just idolize all those big, strong baseball players. But so many of you have mentioned McColloch Street. I'm sure those of you who have mentioned McColloch Street knew Chuck and Ann Ford, who lived there many, many years. And this past Sunday, their older daughter Peggy's obituary was in the Wheeling paper. She died about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I didn't know she had been sick. I'd been in touch with her, but not recently. And so I'm sure you remember. Shag was the man who had the bookie joint in the Rogers. And everybody knew him.
I have one more thing to say. My brother John Rager, that played football, he passed away in 2013, and his daughter brought his ashes up. And because Goosetown was such a big part of him, when we went down, we were thinking, where, if you're not allowed to put the ashes up, we really did. Anyway, we went down to Goosetown, and if anyone can see, there's still 2 big sycamore trees down there. So we went down past where the picnic tables are, and there's a big sycamore tree down there. So some of his ashes, and so is his wife's down there in Goosetown, because it meant so much to him.
So that was your picture that was online of him?
Yeah, they showed up.
I don't need
Go ahead.
microphone. My brother Ed, who passed away not too long ago, he was one of the older ones. There was 10 of us. We had one sister. She passed away a couple years ago. Then a few of us now. But anyways, my sister, she was about the 4th one down. She got to name the last boy that was born in our family. My name is actually John. My sister always told me she named me John because of John Ray.
That's nice. Did you have something, man? Yeah.
My cousin and I, our great grandparents, lived in the second house as you turned the corner. They were Germans. They met on the boat coming over. They were from the same area, but they met on the boat coming over. I lived in North Wheeling as a child, but my parents would take me to her house at Christmas and one day during the summer. Norma lived in East Wheeling, and she visited them quite a bit. So I'm going to let her say a few words.
Their name was Majors. My great-grandmother was Majors, and her daughter was Mary Wolf, was her name. Kate, probably some people might know. They lived on East 11th Street, right down there on that street, right below the outer corner. Yeah.
Yeah. He used to play ball.
Oh, no, he played ball, but I don't play for the Boosters. Will told him, this is Tim. They lived in Goosetown. We live on McColloch Street. I'm still there. They lived in Goosetown when they were kids. Half of them know him. I'll give it to her.
Whose picture is this? That's yours?
Mine.
Yours.
That's something. Kids way back.
Blubber Dillsworth is in here. Yeah, I wish I had this one on.
Buckshot Bowl.
Buckshot Bowl. Dang.
Tax. Janet Tack.
Bobby Massey.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke King was my brother, my sister. Yeah. My husband's wife told him. His wife was Pee Wee. She was married to Smoke King.
Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else before we end this today? There's a lot of people we haven't heard from. Anyone have a good memory to share before we, as a last word? One more. What was great about Goosetown? One more. Somebody, help me out. Yes, sir. Right in the middle.
I was raised in Goosetown. And I had a lot of friends. And I didn't learn their names until I was 20 years old. You know why? Look, goat, smiling, all their nicknames. If you call them by their right name, I didn't know. That's what it is.
What's your name, sir?
It's funny.
What's your name?
Jerry Purple.
What's your nickname?
He got used to it. And I know that girls have their names too. But it was funny because you stop and think about it, and goat, fuzzy, but all those names, and sometimes you know their real names. That's being raised in Goosetown.
Yeah. The town name sounds like a nickname in itself, right?
That's only mentioned.
Okay, so there's one more. Thank you.
My dad used to talk about New Nickel, Tony Palazzo. He's New Nickel. You could have nickels?
Tony Palazzo? Tony Palazzo's grandson is the pitcher from Park, Jeff Rose. It's playing for the Dodgers. That's Tony Palazzo's grandson.
So he came from Goosetown in a way. The roots. Cool.
All those baseball games.
Yeah, baseball, that's the thing. That's what invented Goosetown. Excuse me. All right, anyone else have something to say? Well, I want to thank you all for coming and sharing your memories of Goosetown. And if anyone has something they forgot to say and want to, you can email it to me or call me here at the library, and we'd be happy to, record it for posterity. Thank you.